At the reunion, my brother lifted his glass and said, "To the guy who always arrives late, empty-handed, and still wants a seat at the table." Everyone laughed a little too loudly. I raised mine and said, "To the guy who just paid off the mortgage you thought was yours." The silence was deafening. And then, you know those families where one kid is clearly the favorite, but the parents swear they love you both equally? Yeah. Ours isn't even subtle about it. My brother Ryan, 35M, has always been the one who stayed. He took over Dad's contractor business, lives just 20 minutes from my parents, has Sunday lunch with them like clockwork. I, on the other hand, moved across the country in my late 20s, started my own business, built something that actually made me happy, but because it wasn't their idea of success, I was just off doing my thing. My mom barely calls unless she needs a favor. My dad hasn't asked how I'm doing in years. They like to say I'm independent, but what they really mean is disconnected. And Ryan, he weaponizes that. At every gathering, every reunion, every passive-aggressive birthday toast. So when I got the invite for this year's reunion, the first one since Grandpa passed, I wasn't going to go. But something stopped me. Came as part of a group email. Same subject line as always, annual family barbecue and reunion. I'm pretty sure I wasn't supposed to still be on the list, or they didn't think I'd actually show up. But I did, because this time I had a reason. See, before he died, Grandpa pulled me aside during one of our last phone calls. "They'll try to carve up what's left of me before I'm cold. Don't let them box you out. Stay close to the paperwork." That stuck with me. I called his lawyer the week after the funeral and asked to be kept in the loop, even if I lived out of state. No one else in the family even bothered. They just moved Ryan into the house, like it was some unspoken truth. 6 months ago, I got an email from the estate attorney. "Just a heads up, the trust is dissolving. Property taxes haven't been paid in over a year. Foreclosures on the horizon. You were the only one who asked to be notified." I didn't tell anyone. I flew in quietly, paid off the debt, bought the house legally through the county's distressed asset program, took care of it myself. No fanfare, no drama, until the reunion. Dinner was loud, hot, everyone a little buzzed. Ryan stood up to give one of his infamous toasts, the ones where I'm always the punchline. "To the guy who always arrives late, empty-handed, and still wants a seat at the table." The laughter exploded. Way too hard for such a tired joke. My mom covered her mouth like she didn't want to smile. She did. Dad leaned back like he was proud of the line. Even my younger cousins laughed. Loudly, like they'd all agreed that I was still the joke. I sat there for a second, drink in hand. Let the moment stretch. Then I raised my glass, kept my voice calm, and said, "To the guy who just paid off the mortgage you thought was yours." The silence that followed, you could have heard a fork drop on grass. Ryan's face froze. My mom tilted her head like she didn't understand the words. My dad's eyes narrowed, not confused, just calculating. I didn't elaborate. I didn't need to. Not yet. I didn't expect Ryan to call. He never does, unless he needs something moved, fixed, or explained to him like he's still 10 and I'm still dumb enough to help. But he did. 2 days after the reunion. "Hey, weird question," he said, hesitating. "Were you serious about what you said? About the house?" No hello. No small talk. Just straight to it. I leaned back in my chair, smiled and said, "Yeah, I was." There was silence on the other end, but I didn't fill it. I let him sweat. Ryan finally said, "I mean, I live here. You can't just, that's not how this works." I said, "It is when the title's in my name." A long exhale, then a flash of anger. "It's Grandpa's house. It always was. I've been maintaining it. I pay the bills. I live here." "The house was in a trust," I said. "The trust fell apart. Nobody handled the paperwork. The taxes piled up. The county took it. I bought it. Months ago." He paused again. I could hear him breathing, fast. It finally clicked that this wasn't a joke or a flex. It was real. "You would have known," I added, "if you'd read anything. The lawyer's letter, the tax notice, the warnings. But you assumed it was yours, just because you stayed. Another pause. Then, so what? You're going to kick me out? I didn't answer right away. I could have said a dozen things. Instead, I told the truth. I haven't decided yet. He cursed under his breath and hung up. About 30 seconds later, the family group chat lit up. Mom, you're being cruel. Dad, you should have told us first. Aunt Linda, what is even happening? Ryan, he's trying to steal Grandpa's house out from under me. I texted, I didn't steal anything. I saved it from auction. You're welcome. No one liked that. My mom called angry, angrier than I'd ever heard her. You're humiliating your brother, she said. No, I replied. I'm holding him accountable. And you too while we're at it. Don't you dare drag me into this, she snapped. Why not? You dragged me into every failure I never even committed. She hung up. No goodbye. Later that night, I drove past the house. My name was on the mailbox now. It felt surreal, like I'd stepped into a life I'd always been told I didn't deserve. But I didn't feel triumphant. I felt calm, resolved. This wasn't about revenge. It was about recognition, about making it impossible for them to keep rewriting the story, to stop treating me like the footnote. I didn't evict Ryan the next day. I gave him 30 days. He can stay, pack up, even try to fight it if he wants. But for the first time in my life, they don't get to decide what I deserve. They called it a family discussion, which in my family is code for ambush. My cousin Jessica tipped me off. She's the only one who's ever been remotely neutral. She texted the night before, heads up, your parents are gathering everyone at the house tomorrow. They didn't invite you. It's about the deed thing. Be careful. So I showed up. Ryan's house. My house was packed. Cars in the driveway, lawn chairs out front. Someone even brought cupcakes. If they'd just made a PowerPoint presentation about how I was a villain, it would have been less obvious. I walked in mid-sentence. My dad was speaking, and Ryan was pacing like a lawyer in a courtroom. Everyone froze. I didn't say a word. I just pulled out the manila envelope I'd brought with me and dropped it on the coffee table. The deed, the receipts, the email trail with the lawyer, the certified payment confirmations, all of it. Since you're all suddenly interested, I said, I figured you should see how much you didn't care about this place when it actually needed saving. My mom scoffed. This isn't about paperwork. It's about respect. About family. I turned to her. Respect would have been inviting me to this meeting, or not laughing when your golden child made a toast at my expense. Ryan jumped in. You think buying a house makes you better than us? You always thought you were above the family. I never thought I was better, I said. I just stopped pretending you were. That one landed. I saw it hit his face like a slap. My dad stood up, voice calm but tight. So what now? You going to evict your brother? Is that really who you want to be? I looked around the room. You all had years to step up. Not one of you paid a dime. You treated this house like a souvenir. I treated it like responsibility. No one said a word. Then, quietly, I added, Ryan's got 3 more weeks. After that, the lease terms begin. Someone, I think it was my uncle, actually whispered, damn. I walked out. No yelling, no drama, just done. A week after the family meeting, I got served. Ryan had filed a claim of implied inheritance and adverse possession, basically saying he had the right to the house because, 1, he lived there, and 2, it was always understood that Grandpa wanted him to have it. It was laughable, but I didn't laugh. I hired my lawyer the next day. Same guy who handled the estate notifications, the one Ryan ignored. We met in person, reviewed every document, and within 48 hours we filed our formal response. We attached the deed transfer showing the sale from the trust to me, the tax payment receipts, emails from the estate attorney noting Ryan never responded to notices, Grandpa's will, which mentioned 0 about gifting the house to any specific person. The hearing came fast. Ryan showed up with a different kind of confidence this time. like someone who knew the judge couldn't possibly side with his estranged brother who lived out of state. But court isn't a reunion dinner. And family drama doesn't matter when you're up against receipts. When the judge asked him if he had any documented proof that Grandpa intended to leave him the house, Ryan actually said, "No, but he always said it. And I lived there for years." The judge stared at him, then turned to our side. My lawyer handed over a manila folder, neatly labeled, perfectly documented. 20 minutes later, the judge ruled in my favor. Swift, clinical, final. Ryan didn't speak. He didn't even look at me. He just walked out. The fallout came quick. My mom texted me later that night. "You humiliated him in front of everyone. Was that worth it?" I didn't reply, because yes, it was. Not for revenge. Not even for pride. But because for the first time in my life, I held the truth in my hands and nobody could twist it. Ryan had 1 week left. And this time he knew I meant it. He didn't slam the door. He didn't shout. He didn't even say goodbye. I walked into the house at 9:12 a.m., a few minutes after the final grace period expired. Ryan was gone. No text. No message. Just the smell of last night's coffee and a small ring of dust where his TV used to be. On the kitchen counter were the house keys. 3 of them, taped together with masking tape, labeled front, back, garage. Neat handwriting. I hadn't seen his handwriting since high school. Next to them, under a chipped coffee mug, was a folded sheet of notebook paper, torn at the edge. I opened it slowly. I get it now. Should have taken care of it when it mattered. Enjoy the house. Ryan. No apology. No plea. But not anger either. Just acknowledgement, the kind you don't get in reunions or family meetings or over decades of rivalry. The kind that only comes when there's nothing left to defend. I stood there for a long time. I should have felt victorious. Or at least relieved. Instead, all I felt was done. Like a door had quietly closed in my chest. Not just behind him. Later that day, my mom called. Again. She didn't yell this time. "You've made your point," she said. "You've taken enough." I almost asked her what she meant by enough. Enough space? Enough silence? Enough distance from the son you only called when Ryan wasn't picking up? But I didn't. I just said, he had every chance to do what I did. Then I hung up. The house is quiet now. I don't live in it, not full time. I flew back to my city 3 days later. But I keep it. Keep it clean. Keep it maintained. Not as a trophy. Not as revenge. But as a reminder that even when your family sees you as a footnote, you can still write the ending. One with your name on the deed. And your brother's note by the keys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're into real stories with real consequences. Should the brother have stayed? Should the OP have evicted him? Let's talk about it in the comments. You won't want to miss what's coming next.